All right. Hello and welcome to HBANZ Magnified Grand Final episode for season 14. I'm Dope Sayer. I'm with Ebis and Maxi. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you. All good.
So, in this episode, we're going to start off with basically just covering the teams for season 14, having a look at each team and how they win the season. And then we might touch on the grand final, D1 tonight, D2 tomorrow. So, we'll jump straight into it. We'll start off with the Cox. They had a interesting season. They had a team of Chicken, Mozilla, Dilza, Jad and Sue rotated in D1. How do you think they went, Ebis?
Well, in the end, I was actually surprised that they came dead last. I mean, they were always in with a shot of making finals up until the last couple of games. And of course, we know what happened with Moz, with all the dramas, what seems like him refusing to play for Dilza and Chicken. But yeah, it just didn't work out in the end for them. I don't think they were that bad of a team. I think every team was pretty competitive. I mean, we didn't have many blowouts in D1, but yeah, I guess the Cox just, it's just a case of what could have been if Moz was there. They probably could have done a lot more damage with Dills and Moz and Chicken than what they had. But yeah, what about you, Maxi?
I think they really missed Moz. If they had Moz, they would have been a threat for top four, maybe even the title. Even though the way they played, it didn't really show that. But yeah, I reckon I don't know. They really needed Moz.
Yeah.
They really were lacking a attacking threat
Yeah,
to complement Chicken.
I can agree with that as well. Moz, I don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared. I've seen him on Chitango as Ainans a couple times. I don't say when. I don't
Yeah,
reveal the Ainans ever, but I know. So I don't know. Like apparently he doesn't like Dilza. That's some rumors that was going around. He didn't want to play with him. But yeah, Chicken obviously got really upset with that, with what happened there. But no, they needed Moz this season. He let them down, and they were forced to bring in Jad and Sue. I mean, Sue's a really good upcoming player. I actually rate him quite highly, and I think Jad's, he's very experienced, good player. But up against some of the lineups, they were just a bit weaker, and that's probably why they finished last. But if they had Moz, I reckon they could be in the grand final in place of one of Infamous and Bournemouth maybe. That's how good.
just
Yeah.
on Moz, it just seems out of character that he would do something like that. You wouldn't expect it from someone like Moz. I mean, and it was just a really big troll effort what he was doing. He would just like subtly come on very, very rarely and just act like nothing was going on. It was just strange to sort of witness as an outsider, and I feel for Chicken because it must be so frustrating to have to put up with that, and especially your first round draft pick. Just he's around, but he's just refusing to play, and he's not saying why.
Yeah.
But yeah, strange.
It's a very sucky situation for Chicken. I think he's very frustrated and is thinking about quitting league. He said that, I'm pretty sure. But maybe with HTML we'll get a few players back next season. If it's out by then and it's all fixed and not buggy. But yeah, that's the Cox. If you had to give him a rating, guys, what would you give him out of A, B, C, D, E?
What's the go to F?
Yeah, you can go F.
I'd probably give them a D. I mean, not quite F, but disappointing to come last and weren't that great, but not terrible.
Yeah. What about you, Max?
Max?
I reckon D as well, given they could have made finals up until the last couple of games and they were missing Moz.
Yeah, I would give him a D as well. I'd give him lower if Moz was actually playing, but yeah, they couldn't control that. So yeah, that's their rating for me. We'll move up to the Mario Bros. Now, this team was pretty much doomed from the beginning. It looks like when Mario had a few bad games and decided to call it quits. Yeah, I don't know, Max. What do you think? What happened to Mario? What happened to the Mario Bros?
Well, it was pretty much doomed from the start. I mean, if we go back to the screenshot I posted in thread after Chicken picked Moz, Mario said, "Nah, fuck this. I don't want a captain. I don't want anyone." and then he stopped for like 5 minutes before he finally picked Barca. And then I forgot what the scoreline was in your match, boss, but midway through the match, he's like, fuck you, dope, you're shit. Something like that.
That was.
And it was only one match in,
Yeah.
so that wasn't very good signs right there. I think they did decent enough without Mario. They put up some competitive efforts, but unfortunately, they didn't look like they were going to make playoffs or finals.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go now. Where do we begin? So, to be honest, I don't think the Mario Bros were that bad of a team to begin with. I mean, there's no reason why a team of Mario, Barca, RVP, and Squidder can't make finals for third or fourth at least and do a little bit of damage and be competitive. They even at the start when Mario was whinging and complaining and just seemed to lose his mind, and then as of now we haven't seen him for about a month and a half or something. I mean, they weren't a bad team. They were losing by what, 1 or 2 goals in games. They weren't getting slaughtered. They were just a bit unlucky. Probably their biggest problem was like they were just lacking sort of attacking, I guess, prowess. But I don't know. I mean, and they still did okay without Mario, which says a lot about, I guess, the team depth. But Mario Bros have had a lot worse teams, and you know me, if I thought the team was that bad, I'd be hounding Mario for it. But it wasn't that bad of a team. I mean, I just don't know what Mario sort of was doing in the end with his complaining. And I remember he was complaining about wanting to be first round draft pick. But I don't know. Another team like the Cox that could have done a lot better if certain things went their way, but they weren't that bad of a team either. And Dope, what do you reckon?
Yeah, the funny thing is he was really upset when he didn't get Moz, but Moz didn't even show up for the entire season, so I wonder how they would have gone if he did get Moz. I think he just had no confidence from the start. Yeah, he did want top pick in the draft. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. He's too good of a player. He's just very down in self-confidence, it seems. What I noticed the first few games before his rage quit was that they were losing because, one, they're scoring. They couldn't score. I think Squidder's more of a defensive player, not so much an attacking player. But also, I don't think they had too much chemistry between Mario and Barca, which are the 2 stars of that team. And what I actually noticed was when Mario left, I think Barca started to shine. I think he had one of his best seasons in HBANZ. He looked really good. I think he plays really well at goalkeeper. That could become his main position if he wanted to. He's just gotta worry about not going too far forward and letting any cherry picking goals behind because of his attacking mindset. But he did really well. He had a great season. I think that was because Mario did leave, and that's actually why they did so well in the end. I know they finished 5th, but like compared to losing their captain, they're the best player. But yeah, no, it was disappointing for the Mario Bros. Mario should have stuck with it. I don't know where he's gone. He's just disappeared into thin air.
Hopefully it comes back. We don't want to see it. Very
Well,
well
the Hackbrawler situation.
Yeah, well, this is exactly like Axbrawler, like one of the
If you're
best.
there, Mario, we love and miss you, and we want you to come home.
Yeah, I really like Mario. I wish he'd come back as well. Hopefully next season he will make his return.
Maybe.
But he probably won't captain. I doubt it. And I don't think Chicken will captain either. So we get or me. So 3 new captains next season. See how that goes. Anyway, that is the Mario Bros. I don't know if I'd give them a D or an E, to be honest. Like, I want to give them an E because of Mario. I feel like he ruined that team and he was the captain, but they played strong without him, so I'll probably just give them a D. What do you reckon, Ebus?
I'll probably give them a D minus. I mean, they finished above Cox in the end, but for about 13 rounds, 14 rounds, that was the bottom. And yeah, they did okay, all things considered, but yeah, D minus, Maxi.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same.
Yeah. Alright, that's the Mario Bros for this episode. So we'll move up to the Lions. They finished 4th in the season, lost to the Bullworms in the semi-finals and got knocked out. They had a lineup, or the last lineup in the end was, I think, Swoozy, Ramin, and Angst. Was it Angst? Yeah, Angst was in. with Ramin playing goalkeeper, which was a surprise. Maxi, that is your team. What happened this season? How come you guys got knocked out in the semis?
I think we were a bit unlucky. Bullims were just better on the day. I'm pretty happy with how we turned it around yet again, and we always seem to sneak into that fourth position. So hopefully next season we can start well. But I think the Swoozy trade really made an impact. I know Squidder will hound me for this, but I don't think we would have made the top 4 if we had Kuma, because he doesn't complement my game style or even Roman's game style. I don't think the way we play.
Ibis.
Yeah, well, I think the main problem for the Lions was goals. Scoring goals was a big problem for them. To be frank, Kuma was just a fair bit disappointing in a lot of those games. As a number 1 draft pick, he just sort of lacked. He just wasn't his usual self. And then with Roman and Maxi, they just lacked goals and they sort of lacked, I guess, that cutting edge. And the trade of Swoozy was very good, which I thought that was a win for the Lions. I was surprised to see that one go through, and also surprised to see Maxi get criticised for it, because Kuma at the time was a little bit off. And then, Angst came in, and Swoozy, of course, coming in. They did improve a fair bit, but, they just never really looked as good as previous seasons. I mean, made the grand final, 3 years previous to last 3 years, so, 3 seasons. I mean, they were decent in the semi against us, but, just not really good enough to be a grand final team in the end.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Lions won the trade. I knew that going into the trade, but I didn't know if it was my last season. I know if next season's HMO, I'll be playing. I'm not missing the first season of that, but I wasn't sure at the time, and I just wanted to play with Kuma before going out, and I wanted to try and get him the title too. He deserves one. He's been one of the best players for 14 seasons now, and he's just been unlucky not to be able to get a win. This is his 3rd grand final tonight, so good luck to him. And but Swoozy, he's a freak though, guy. I think he's the best player in HBANZ. He can play all positions at the top level. If you need him to go goalkeeper, he'll just lock the ball inside your offensive half. If you need him to play mid, he'll cover you defensively. He just does everything. And I definitely think he complemented Maxi's game a lot, covered for him, and allowed whoever was playing forward to play actual forward. And then, they had the option of putting him at goalkeeper too, which he was very good at. I don't think they were too settled on their lineup. Similar to the I forgot the name. Oh no, was it Lions last season? The Loving Swoozy deal, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was the Loving, Swoozy, and
Deals.
Maxi.
It was Deals.
Yeah, it was Deals.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like 2 seasons in a row they were a touch unsettled with their lineup, because they rotated Swoozy to goalkeeper sometimes with the current goalkeeper. So it was Ramin this season, it was Deals last season. They didn't know which worked best, what combination. So that might have hurt them a little bit. I feel like Ramin's really a forward, but he tried to play goalkeeper. He did well, but in the end, Bulworms just had too much chemistry. But they, it was a great comeback. I think they were in the bottom 2 for a lot of the season. Might be wrong, maybe the first half or something. But it was a decent season for the Lions. Just unfortunate that they went out that way. For me, I would probably give them a C+. I mean, it was a decent season, nothing exciting. Could be a B- even. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'd probably give them just a straight C, just middle of the road.
Yeah, fair call. That's the Lions for this season then. And then the 3rd place team we got as Frenchies. They finished 2nd in the regular season, but they got knocked out in the preliminary finals by the Bulworms, who... the Bulworms knocked out the Lions and the Frenchies. They're going well. But, the Frenchies, I think it all came down to Frenchie's lag. He's the guy for that team. Like, Red Devil's obviously the best player on that team, but Frenchie's the mid. Like, that's the most important role on a team. And he was playing that, and he got very affected by by his FPS lag or his delay in movement, whatever it was. And speaking like of experience with that stuff, I know how difficult it is. I remember sliding all around the place in seasons 5 and 6, and it was hell. Um, I just wanted to quit basically, but season 7 it magically fixed. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome now. So hopefully he gets that fixed. Maybe it'll be alright for him in HTML next season. But yeah, he was the guy, and he got affected by lag. That being said, not to take away anything from the Bullworms, they played pretty well. I mean, it was a bit of a scrappy game, but they got the job done. But yeah, it was a bit disappointing in the end. And I think Igloo's inexperience at goalkeeper cost them a few goals in that game 3. Um, it was hard. I don't know who the best lineup is really. Like they had MGK as an option. He didn't really show up too much, so that was the problem. And then they had David as well. He couldn't make it. Um, Maybe David was in their best lineup with Frenchie going goalkeeper. I don't know, but yeah, they got knocked out in the end. What do you think, Ebis, of the Frenchies?
Well, it's tough because I think they were good in the regular season. I mean, they were top right until the end, until you guys knocked them off the top. But they were good, but I think the results slightly overfavored them. I mean, of course, Red Devil and Frenchie are just a ridiculously good attacking pairing and the best in the league. But I know when we played them, we just seemed to match up well against them in the regular season. And yeah, I don't know, something about them just made us play a lot better. And we just, I think, yeah, of course, Frenchie with his lag problem or FPS problems was a big issue. And I know the final definitely impacted that. And it was a scrappy game. Final against them. But yeah, I think Frenchie was all clear to play with his FPS issues gone away, and you had David and MGK and all of those guys there to possibly come in. Would have made a big difference. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say with them. I think where they finish is about right. I don't think they would have troubled Infamous in the grand final, to be honest. But yeah, that's all I can really say. Maxi?
Yeah, that's the interesting team. They also had Pat, who was second round. I mean, I don't really rate him, but maybe he could have made a difference, or maybe Frenchie at goalkeeper with David forward might have done differently. But yeah, they did pretty well during the regular season. Like Ebus said, I thought they were a bit lucky at times. I reckon 2 times we drew with them, and we could have easily got a win at least one of those times. Yeah, they did pretty well. I mean, they could have won if Frenchie wasn't lagging, or I didn't get to see the series, but apparently Red Devil missed a pretty easy chance in game 2. So who knows what would have happened there? But yeah, they did pretty well. They could have done better, maybe, but that's how it goes.
I forgot to mention, just on Red Devil, just when we played him, just his ability to just turn a game, just with his ridiculously good finishing. He, in my opinion, is the most informed player in the competition, and his just efficiency in front of goals is just unbelievable. So, I mean, he would have had to do it all himself, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, Frenchie being dead and Igloo being a little bit not ready for D1, but yeah, Red Devil's just a star. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, actually, I want to mention with Igloo, it was his first season D1. I think he actually did pretty well. I mean, he did end up costing them a little bit in that last game, but he actually was pretty solid for most of it. I was impressed with what I saw. I think he can become a good D1 goalkeeper next season if he keeps playing. And then with Red Devil, if I had to pick one forward to play with in all my history of HBANZ, it would be him. We just had insane chemistry together last season. He's the best pure forward in HBANZ, in my opinion. He's just a freak, that guy. But yeah, unlucky for those guys to go out. And then with in terms of Pat as well, I think I'm one of the few guys in this league that actually rates the guy. I think that's probably because of our win in season 10. He just learns well. Like if you teach him what to do, he does it. And maybe it's just chemistry with him. But Yeah, I don't know if he would be starting for them either. It's hard to say. Probably a bit more experience than Igloo, but he's probably very rusty. So, if he was in his season 10 form or whatever, then maybe. But no, it wasn't season 10, season 9 or 11. I don't know. Season 10 we lost, but yeah. Anyway, that is the Frenchies. Last two teams standing at the moment. We got the Bullworms and Infamous playing the grand final in 1 hour. That'll be exciting. Dills will be
Shit, only an
streaming
hour.
that. Yeah, I know. Dills will be streaming that. I don't know. It'll be coming. Maybe, I don't know, Maxi, if you want to get in comms with him, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be exciting. Me and Ebis, both the captains of these teams. So, I can't say too much, but, Max, if you got any questions for us, or if you want to give your thoughts on the game, if who do you think's going to win and why, and whatever you want to say, go for it.
Dope, how does this feel compared to previous grand finals?
Yeah, it's I'm not as nervous or phased anymore, really. Like, I think I've been here quite a few times now that I don't worry about it that much. I'm just here to play. I'm more worried about my own performance because of my teammates. I don't want to let them down. So I just don't want to screw up tonight, basically, like I did last season. I'll never forget against the Loving, that game 3 that fucking killed me. But yeah, no, I feel alright. I'm pretty excited for tonight.
Ebus, did the Bullworms do compared to your expectations? Did you expect to come this far at the start of the season?
Yeah, well, to be honest, after draft night, I had after getting Dilza, as well as Joey, I wasn't really expecting us to do that well. I mean, maybe fourth, third at best, sort of mid-table at most. But yeah, the acquisition of NZ for Dilza at the time seemed very risky, and I did cop a lot of criticism from it. In particular, for my host here, Dope, who had some things to say. But no, look, NZ's been incredible. Joey has just been unbelievable as well. Played really well together. We just worked together. I think as a starting 3, we're probably one of the weaker sides that have ever made the grand final. I'd have to say, in terms of just the 3 individual players. But we work for each other. We play really well. And yeah, I'm just really happy that we've gotten this far. And although the odds sort of say it's almost an even game, I definitely think Infamous should go in as warm favourites. And I mean, if we can get the job done, it'd just be unbelievable to knock off Dope, which has happened like 2 or 3 times in 14 seasons and 13 seasons. So yeah, I mean, all the best to you, Dope, and should be a good game.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Good luck to you guys for the grand final. Hopefully it's a good series.
Thanks, Max. It should be very fun. Both teams have really good offenses and defenses, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all works. Starting lineups though, we got Dope as goalkeeper, Viper and Kuma up in the forward line, and for the Boyums we will have, I'm assuming, if you want to, correct me on this, but NZ Kills keeping, Joey mid and Ebus forward. I'm guessing Ebus.
I would have thought so.
Yeah. So that will be the lineups for tonight. 1 hour till game time for the D1 Grand Final. Should be exciting, so make sure you don't miss it. We'll move on to D2 now. So let's have a look at the standings. So Frints finished last on 7 points. We'll get into them. So looking at their team, what they have? They had David, Master GK, Igloo, Jambi, Greenfied, Muffin, Silence, and Ash Young. So immediately you can see their depth is a problem, and their availability as well. So they had David, Master GK, who didn't show up much for D2. David made a few games. Master GK made a few games. That was it. Jambi barely ever showed. And,
did he show up at all? I don't think he did show up once.
maybe one game. Maybe not. I don't know.
I think he might have showed up to one game.
Yeah. And then Pat was a 3rd round pick, so he couldn't play D2 unless they didn't have enough, but he didn't show up anyway. So then that leaves Igloo, Greenfied, Muffin, Silence, and Ash Young, who was picked up for the last 5 games. That that's a last place team. Like, just that there are a few up and coming players there, but you put them up against like lineups of like Ulti or Drag from the Cubs or Fweshy from the Warrior Bros. They're probably not going to get the win, and it turned out that's what happened. They just I don't think Frenchie drafted too well in the depth and just didn't really take availability into consideration. But if all three showed up in their starting team, Igloo, David, Master GK, they'd probably be one of the top D2 teams. But they didn't have the availability for it. What are your thoughts, Evis?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I didn't get the chance to watch a whole lot of it. But yeah, with the French, obviously an issue of depth, I guess availability. David not showing, and then Pat. Oh, Pat would have been D1, wouldn't he? I know there was a lot of blowouts with the French, but I don't have a whole lot to say. Just disappointing as a whole to see D2. So I guess not one-sided, but there's a lot of just ridiculous games, like ridiculous scorelines. And in previous seasons, it was a lot closer. But yeah, I'm sure the French would have been a lot better if all their guys were there. Mixie?
Yeah. Obviously, if the best three showed up, I reckon they would have possibly made the fourth position, or maybe even been threatening to make grand final. But unfortunately, they really didn't have the depth to be competitive.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up this season right there. If you had to rate them, probably what would you give them?
I don't know. E.
Yeah.
I mean, they're leaking goals like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. What about you, Max?
An E because they didn't fold.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them an F because they didn't implode, I suppose. But I'm just happy they showed up and the new guys got some game time, which was good for our league. Probably an E for me as well. They just finished last. They were never a threat at all. Yeah, it was just a disappointing season, basically, for the Frints. We'll move on to the Gummy Worms now. So that's a second season in a row for the Gummy Worms that they didn't make the finals, I think. Bit surprising because they had a much more decent team than last season. Lukic, 7-11, Iwobi debated. Usually you look at that and at least fourth place, at least. I think they underperformed a little bit this season. Evis, you're the captain again. I'll start off with you. What do you think?
Very frustrating, to be honest. I mean, I'm a bit biased, but I think we had one of the strongest lineups. And as well as the four guys that you named, we also had a Session mid-season who was really good at the tail end of the season. I mean, we had problems with 7-11, ping issues. We had problems with Debated not being able to make a fair chunk of games. I mean, we nearly made finals in the end, but by the end of it, I think we lost to Prince or something or someone like that. And it just sort of got to the point where it's like, well, we don't deserve to make finals. We're not winning these games that we should. And I know we had a few games early in the seasons where like 2 or 3 of our main guys weren't there. And then there's guys like Bluebird really stepped up. And I just want to give props to Bluebird, who played very, very well, all things considered, with where we got him in the draft and the fact that he was like, sixth choice in the team. He did really well. But in the end, you can't really plan because when you're losing some games like 8-0, 10-0, just a bit, you don't deserve to be in the finals. But I think if we were to start again with that same team that we've got now, I think we could come top 3. But it's no use looking back because we had 15 games and we couldn't do anything. So that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think the loss of Debated has really, really hurt them. I mean, I had him last 2 seasons prior to this, and I've been really, really impressed with him. That's why I think the season before last, I picked him up in a trade. I heard some good things about him. I saw him in pubs. I was really impressed, and he's developing really nicely as a player. I think any team would be good to have him on their D2. But I think Ebos drafted pretty well with the Wobie at 32, and Bluebird did well. It was 44th. Yeah, they just got a bit unlucky and they were a bit inconsistent. I mean, for some games they'd lose like by 6 or 7 goals or whatever, and then they'd win the next game. So I think consistency was a major thing with the Gummy Worms.
Yeah, looking at the Worms for me, and I might get roasted a little bit for saying this, but I actually feel like Debated is a touch overrated. I love the guy. I think he's a good player, but I think a lot of people see him as one of the top D2 players. For me, he's sort of in the middle. If you put him up against like a Fueshi, an RVP, a Ultimatum, a Dragon Angst, I still think he's not as good as them. I think he's somewhere in the middle. I still think he's good, but obviously losing Debated hurt them. He's still, one of the best players on that team. And they needed him, but yeah, he missed a lot of games, which hurt them. Bluebird did well when he filled in. I remember seeing him in a few games. I was pretty impressed with the improvement he made, but in the end, they just weren't strong enough to go against some of the teams. Yeah, that round 15 game, it came down to Gummy Worms versus Little Cox. Whoever won that game would make the finals, and the Little Cox won 3-2. And the pretty disappointing thing for the Gummy Worms was the lineups. So the Gummy Worms had everyone. They had Session, Lukic, Debated, 7-11 to choose from, and Iwobi. And then the Little Cox, they had LCD and Sue, which is their main two, but then they had Portal as their third instead of Richie.
Yeah.
And Portal is obviously not as good as Richie, but yeah, he's a sub nonetheless. So a full team versus a weakened team, and they couldn't get the job done. They lost 3-2. That was a pretty disappointing game. We all probably thought the Gummy Worms would have won that. And the really bad thing about it as well is that the Little Cox didn't even show up for their semi-finals. So it could have been the Gummy Worms in there showing up, all available, and maybe making a move, but they weren't able to get there, unfortunately for them. But just looking at their play all season, I mean, I feel like positioning was one of the main things. I feel like Session actually really helped them when he came into goalkeep. I don't know what happened to 7-11. I think he had some lag, and then he didn't really want to play as much with that ping. And then Lukic would barely ever defend. I notice him cherry picking a lot, and they get scored on quite often and quite heavily. And I don't think Debated. I know a lot of people say Debated's good mid, but I don't know. I thought he was better than what he.
He's a forward. I reckon he's a better forward.
Yeah, I thought he was better than. I thought he was worse than what he produced. What? No, I thought he
Better.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. He wasn't as good as I thought this season. No, I'll put it that way. But yeah, it's pretty underperforming for the Gummy Worms this season. I'd probably give them a D, to be honest, because they just didn't meet expectations. What do you think, Evis?
Yeah, a D, because really we should be doing a lot better than that. And shout out to Iwobi, who I thought was really, really good as an attacker. I think at his best, he can score some of the best goals. Yeah, that's about it, D. Sorry, I think about it. Max?
Yeah, I reckon a D as well. Yeah, I reckon Iwobi is going to be one of the best players in D2 if he continues his development. He just needs to work on developing his defense a bit more. So yeah, a D.
Just want to touch quickly on Debated. I know I said he's a little overrated, but he's great to have in your team because he's just such a good person. Like there's no like shit that comes from him. Like you just have a great locker room with his
You don't need a. You're trying to like save your ass. You can call someone overrated. It's okay.
Names.
No, I'm sticking to it. I think he's overrated, but I can see why you'd want him on your team.
Slightly. I'd agree slightly. I mean, he's probably not as good as all those guys you named, but he's still very good.
Yeah.
And I think it's just circumstantial. I mean, if he was on a better D2 team this season, he sort of had to do a little bit of a carrying job this year. But if you had him on Cubs or who else, Wario or something, I think he'd be doing a lot better.
I feel like he needs to be a third on the team. Like he needs 2 other good players with him for him to go all the way. But Yeah, scummy worms for D2 season 14. So now we'll move into the teams that made the finals. So we'll start off with the Little Cocks. I'm pretty sure they finished fourth. Um, they ended it with a forfeit and a 21-6 loss in the next
Fucking
some shit. I was pretty
what?
pathetic for finals.
I didn't see it.
It was retarded. It all boiled down to not showing up. Richie and Sue, they didn't show up when they were needed. We tried to even reschedule for Sue. He said he'd make it, and he didn't. Um, yeah, I look with LCD, Richie and Sue. They could have had a chance to beat the Cubs. Like they were a good team. I think they beat the Cubs early in the season with that lineup. They looked pretty good, but LCD, he's a good goalkeeper, but when he gets 2v1, he doesn't know what to do. Um, he needs a good defense in front of him. And I think Richie is really getting really good at mid. I really like his improvement, and Sue is getting freaking good as well. They've got some good players, but in the end they didn't show up. And I don't know who they had. I think they had Portal, LCD, and Dilza and like 300 ping or something playing with a handicap, and that 21 loss, whatever it was. So yeah, it was over for them basically when Sue and Richie didn't show up. But they did alright in the regular season. At the first half, they were like second for a fair bit, I think, and then availability kicked in. I don't know what happened to Sue and Richie, but Max, what do you reckon of the Cox performance this season, Little Cox?
Well, we can't. I don't think I really count that final too much because Dulza had like a ridiculous handicap. So unfortunately, Sue and Richie didn't show up, even though they asked for a reschedule. I think it would have been a lot closer series if they had their best three. And on top of that, Shadow quit a few games in, and he was doing pretty well. So I think he would have done a bit better than Portal, even though Portal put in some good performances at times. It was a bit hit and miss, like Frank said in the chat.
Ibis.
I don't know a whole lot about the Little Cocks, to be honest, but Richie and Sue are two very good players. Alias Radar goes off with Richie. LCD, I think he's a fair bit overrated as a keeper. I think there's a lot of what's the word? Nostalgia, or there's a lot of he's a likable guy. He's a likable guy, so when he came back, everyone was all excited, and I think he got picked fairly high in the draft in his first season. He's not that great of a goalkeeper. Shadow, of course, was on the team. He just lost his mind as well, disappeared. He looked to be getting quite good, but then he got angry when you said he was playing well, and said no. You're saying I'm playing good, but I'm not, and then he left. So yeah, I think it's funny. Both the Cox and the Little Cox had issues with their teams, with players disappearing, not showing up, and both their teams could have done better in the end. But yeah,
they could have really used Shadow in that semi-final. So I totally forgot about him. I'm just going to come out and say that was pretty pathetic what he did. He let in one goal and he just lost his shit. He just shit the bed and he just backed up and left. He couldn't handle it. I don't know why. The goal wasn't really even his fault. He didn't play that bad at all. I don't know what his problem was, but he lost it. And that really hurt the Cox as well because he was playing pretty well. That up until the left. So I don't know. I saw a lot of improvement in him. I liked what I saw. He was hosting. He was even streaming, I think, at one point. And then he just quit. So that was pretty poor from him. He definitely could have helped in that semis, but that's a Little Cox for you. I'm going to give them a D. Might be a bit harsh because they made the finals, but they didn't show up. They should have. We rescheduled for Sue. He didn't show up. So, they don't really deserve a high rating for me. What about
I think we should have been put in over them, if it was possible to do.
Yeah,
play on the next day.
In favour of that.
I'd even consider giving them an E because they forfeited a finals. Are you kidding me?
It's never happened in HBANZ history, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, I don't
unprecedented.
Don't remember a time where it has. What about you, Max? What's your rating?
Yeah, probably a D, close to an E, because of what happened at the end with the final. Even though I said not to count it, the fact that they asked for a reschedule, I was happy too, and didn't show up, Richie or Sue.
Yeah, D minus.
Yeah.
Pathetic. Gummy worms robbed. Should have been in. Nah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really don't know a lot about Little Cox. Haven't been able to watch a lot of D2. Been at work on Monday nights, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Moving on.
Alright, so last team we can talk about for the grand final preview is Famous. I'll start off with them because they are my little team. The problem we had all season up until we got knocked out, the whole season, we didn't know what lineup to go with. We didn't have a settled lineup. We just kept throwing guys in and out of the starting team. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what worked best. I don't know. Ulti, I don't know. I feel like he underperformed, to be honest. To be honest, I feel like he's overrated as well. Like, he won. I won the grand final with him back in whatever season it was, and he was good. And then he came into D2 this season, and a lot of people thought he was gonna destroy. I was talking to Kuma before the draft, and Ulti wanted a goalkeeper, and he was saying to me, Kuma, you're gonna pick Ulti, aren't you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I think Fweshi's a better goalkeeper, and I think I'm right with that call. I think Fweshi was a better goalkeeper, but the reason I picked Ulti was that I needed D1 depth, and I knew Fweshi couldn't make D1, so I was like, all right, I'll go with Ulti. He's obviously going to be one of the best in D2 still, but he didn't destroy it like most people thought he would. And he was thrown back and forth at forward and goalkeeper. Fank was coming in, RLC was coming in, Jason was coming in. We just didn't know what lineup to put. We had Fank, Ulti, and Gang at one point. Gang, I don't know, like Gang played well to me. Like, I think he did what he could. We just didn't have a settled lineup. We made second, I think, and we lost two series in a row. It was just pretty disappointing. I think we underperformed to the team we had. And I remember in the draft, third round of D2, I was picking between 13 and Fank, and I went with Fank because I knew Ulti wanted to play with him. And I was like, yeah, I'll just, I want my D2 guys to have fun. I don't want to be super serious or anything.
Just on that, Ulti said he wanted to pick Iwobi or Sue, and he chose Fank instead because he wanted to challenge that backfired a little bit, just putting it quietly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe I should have picked 13 just to have Ulti as a goalkeeper for the whole season, like not worry about putting anyone else in at goalkeeper, just have him focused on his job, not worrying about having to practice mid, forward, goalkeeper, whatever he wanted. And having 13, obviously, he finished top goal scorer yet again, so that would have a lineup of Ulti, goalkeeper, Gang, and 13 up front. That would be pretty strong. So a little bit of regret there, but Fank. He had some great games at goalkeeper, saying that. He did have a really good season when he played. There was a couple goals that he let in, which was a bit poor, but other than that, I actually wanted Fank to play against the Cubs in that prelims, but also he wanted to put himself a goalkeeper, which I respected as well. But just for settling the lineup, I think we probably should have gone with Drag. What do you guys think of Famous, Edith?
Who have they got? Ulti. Yeah, I think from what I saw of him, even in D1 as well, everyone expected him to just dominate like Dilser did last season. He was just not quite as good as we know he can be at his peak. Fank is interesting how much Ulti wanted to pick Fank. Definitely seemed more of like a sentimental pick than I really want to play with this guy because we're going to destroy the league sort of thing. RLC, probably a good pick. Best as like a D2 sub, I reckon. Jason, I rate highly as well. I know, Dope, you keep picking him, and I keep wanting to pick him, and I just never able to get him. I've always rated him as like a good solid guy to have on a D2 bench. And I don't know a whole lot about Famous. Did they get smashed in the finals or something by the Cubs? Was it?
I don't think it was a smashing, but it was beaten convincingly. It was 3-1 in the Warrior Bros one, and then 6-0, which is pretty smashing. But the Cubs was 3-1 and 4-1, so it wasn't like a big blowout, but
pretty comprehensive. Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable for sure.
And considering for Famous came second, did they? And the Cubs came third.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't think there's a whole lot else I can say about Famous. Maxi.
Yeah, I think, well, you might be a bit harsh on Alti. He has 4 clean sheets and he had a pretty good GAA. Well, the whole team did well stats wise, but unfortunately they crumbled a bit in finals.
Yeah. I don't know. We just didn't have a settled lineup. I still think Fank probably should have goalkeeped against the Cubs and then have Ulti playing mid with Gang forward. But in the end, yeah, we couldn't figure it out. Just started on the back foot too often as well in the series. And yeah, we just couldn't handle the attacking power of the Cubs and the Warrior Bros in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and give us a C. I think we underperformed. I think we could have done better, at least made the grand final. Ebis?
Yeah, C.
Yes, probably say the same.
All right. And just want to touch quickly on Jason RLC as well. Yeah, RLC I really rate. A lot of people don't. I like him a lot. I could definitely see him starting goalkeeper for D2 for me. Like I'd pick him there. We won Famous with him, what, season 12 I think it was? 13? I don't know what one. Yeah, 12. Would have been 12. And he played well. I like him, and he even subbed in for D1 that season and got a half clean sheet when I needed him to. He just played well. And Jason, he's really strong up forward. Like, he just somehow finds a way to get goals. The only problem with him I find is his positioning, like rushing at goalkeeper. Like, I feel like he doesn't know just yet where to rush, like what angle to take, and the goalkeeper ends up getting the ball around him. But yeah, with experience, he'll pick that up. Yeah, I really enjoy Jason on my team as well. He's a great guy. But yeah, that's Famous for this season. Now we're going to move on to the last 2 teams remaining for D2. Cubs, Warrior Bros. They're on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Yeah, who do you reckon's going to win, Evis? Like, what do you think of the matchups?
Looking forward to it. I mean, the attacks on show on that team, well, mostly the Cubs, Dragon 13, I mean, their team's just stacked again. They've kept, like, so many of the same guys they had last season. And then Sparks is playing really well, I think. He's really improved. Then you've got, what was the other team? It's gone blank.
Warrior Bros.
Warrior Bros. RVP and Mal, or also known as Dingard, a very unlikely potent pairing. I mean, like breaking records in the stats. Like fucking RVP just taking the piss, and Mal has scored like 5 times as many goals this season as he has in his last 13 seasons. Yeah, that'd be a really good game. Should be a lot of goals. Should be exciting. I probably predict Cubs to just get over the line. I think their forward 2 pairing is a bit better than Warrior Bros, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way to 5. Maxi?
I can't really call this being unbiased. I definitely think it'll be 4 or 5. I don't see either team winning in 3.
It should be a very close series. It's very hard for me to pick as well. Max, if I could just ask you before I give my prediction, who is going to be your starting goalkeeper?
Well, we're tossing up between Orges and Sparks. Both have been impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, well, the lineups are going to be obviously Fweshy, RVP, and Wingard, and then for the Cubs, you have, like Max just said, one of Orge or Sparks, and then up front you got 13 and Angst. Now, the way I look at it, as I do my predictions here, I think 13 and Angst is the best forward pairing in the league. I think Fweshy and RVP and Wingard are really close. But I'm just leaning towards the Warrior Bros because Fweshy, like that guy's a beast. He can keep it on offense for most of the game, and he can really help facilitate to RVP and Wingard, which is how they get a lot of their goals as well. And then you look on the other side for the Cubs, Orge and Sparks, they just aren't as good with the ball, clearances wise. So I think the Cubs are going to have to do a lot, like 13 and 8 is going to have to do it themselves quite a lot on offense, which can restrict them a bit. If you look at the Warrior Bros, they can back pass, they can really open up the field, and then you've got 13 in 250 ping or whatever he's got, which will hurt him a little bit defensively, and then Angst. He's great on offense, and I still think he's good defense, but I don't think he's amazing on defense. I think he can rush forward a bit too early sometimes. So there are going to be some gaps for the Warrior Bros to exploit, I think. So they're going to have to really bust it out, the Cubs, I think. So that's why I'm leaning to the Warrior Bros, purely because of Fweshy and the season he's had. Anyone else want to say anything about the matchup, the grand final, what they think at all?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just on Sparks, he's had 4 assists, so he can attack at times. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I think Angst is really underrated on defense, though. As you can see in the finals, against Famous, Angst saved and Drag saved Sparks a couple of times. They really defended well as a team, so I don't really think it's going to be much of an issue. But Fweshy's good, but I just think it's going to be about whoever plays the best as a team on the day.
Yeah, it'll definitely be very close matchup. Well, yeah, we've just basically gone over every team in D1 and D2. That's basically it for Season 14 Magnified. Grand Final D1 is actually in half an hour. I've got to go shower.
Are we doing predictions for D1? We didn't do predictions.
Didn't we?
We didn't give like a game, like who's going to win.
I mean, we can't really, can we?
Yeah, we can.
Or Maxi can. What do you reckon, Maxi? Go for it.
Well, I think if Infamous win, it could be in 3 or 4, but if Bullworms win, it'll be in 5. Infamous will really push them. I think Infamous will win personally, but hopefully it's a good series.
My heart says Worms in 5. Hopefully we can get it done so the HBANZ title can come to Alaska for the first time.
I reckon Bullworms in 3. I reckon
good reverse psychology.
I reckon I'll own goal 3 times, and Joey will hold the mid down, keep clean sheet for NZ kills. Alright, that's it. I'm calling it. I'm going to shower. So, thanks for tuning in to Magnified. Thanks for joining me, Evis and Maxi. And
thank you very much.
See ya. Good luck, though.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck, Evis. Yeah, we'll see you guys next season. Hopefully. HTML.
We see you next season?
Not happening. Not captaining.
Oh, okay. You're just going to carry another team again.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be
coming back to Lions, I guess. No,
I'll pull it July. I'll make my availability like 5 out of 15.
Wow.
Alright, that's it. See you guys. Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you.